coming to you live this Halloween from the Beltline in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm your host, Kelley, and if you think you're a normal person, welcome to the Normal Person Podcast.
Some people act like normal's a four-letter word, but most of us want to be normal. To sit and talk for a bit about it, whatever it is. Are you okay today to press play? Is there any other way to be normal?
We're halfway through October here in Atlanta, which means the city and all of the normal people in it are officially in full-on spooky season mode. From costumes, neighborhood parades, apple picking sessions, and my personal favorite fall activity, pumpkin carving, there's no shortage of fall-flavored traditions to do here in the South. If you're anything like me, this time of year has another, more spooky appeal as well. One that involves unexplained phenomena, scary monsters, and, of course, the topic of this week's episode, ghosts. Or whatever you prefer to call the deceased trying to communicate with us from beyond the grave. We're inviting passing strangers to sit down and share with us if they think ghosts are real.
I want to say over thousands of conversations of people
to
basically substantiate the evidence of ghosts. It's basically just hearsay.
I think I'll have to say yes because I believe like energy is never destroyed.
The Day of the Dead is for the morning, I
Yeah.
find. So it's not that you're gone, you're still there. You feel a presence.
I think sometimes too, especially when you get certain signs in the world. I know it's like the universe, but
Sure.
it could be something else, right? That's
Yeah.
like while we're sitting here right now, like I think there's people watching that we can't see.
As always, before we jump into today's episode, I want to encourage you to take a moment and reflect on your own beliefs for just a few minutes. What are ghosts to you? Do you believe they exist at all? And have you ever experienced something you just can't explain, ghost or otherwise? Now, before we jump into some pretty spooky stories, if I do say so myself, I thought it would be best to kick off today's episode with a guest that absolutely doesn't believe in ghosts in any way, shape, or form. As you'll hear, his belief is first and foremost in something he calls scientific evidence. I'll let him define that in his own words.
Hey, my name is Tyler.
Tyler?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to spare any time because today's topic is one that elicits a very kind of strong reaction with people. But I want to ask you just the question directly, and you can take it any way you want, all right? Do you believe in ghosts?
No.
Oh, just no. Like flat no. There's no in between. Okay, well, let me hear your rationale. Why don't you believe?
I grew up, although I did grow up in a religious household, I'm not particularly religious at this moment.
Sure.
And in the type of sect that I was in, they embrace sort of like spirituality where you had to believe in ghosts, demons, witches, yada, yada, yada. And after further investigation, talking to more people, I've had, I want to say, over thousands of conversations of people to basically substantiate the evidence of ghosts. It's basically just hearsay. They don't really have any way to falsify any of the claims that are made.
Yeah.
And I've been high before. I've had some psychedelic experiences and I've seen some things, but it doesn't mean that things that I've seen were actually real.
Right. So you think that that's the kind of an equivalency, is that it's someone's personal perspective and experience that they're kind of projecting?
Yes, I think that you can't really objectify personal experiences or falsify personal experiences. It's just what it is. It's what we feel would have occurred. You have reality, and then you also have our perspective of reality. And I think that's what we get caught up in, is we think that our perspective of reality is actually reality. And I think that's the problem when it comes to ghosts and the supernatural.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense to me, but I have to play, both sides here.
Okay.
So I want to ask you some questions that you would probably, you said you've had thousands of conversations with people.
Yes.
So have you ever had an experience that you couldn't explain? Not saying it was a ghost, but it's a strange experience.
Yes.
Could I hear about that? What happened?
Let me think. In college, I was sleeping, I had a nightmare, and my body like basically woke up. Like I woke up and I was like sleepwalking, and I woke up and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. My roommate as well claimed that he could, quote unquote, see ghosts.
Sure.
He would see people. Very strange, giving me paranoia as well. Recently, I tried some psychedelic substances with a friend, and I was seeing stuff as well.
What kind of stuff are you seeing?
People,
Oh, okay.
colors being more vibrant.
What kind of people, though?
I couldn't really make out their face.
Okay. Was it scary or was it?
It depends on the type of trip you're experiencing. If you're
Right.
in a bad or paranoia mood, the trip is going to take you down a more horrifying route.
Right.
But I was having more of like a positive route. So I was seeing like, I don't know, fun people just standing
Okay.
at the corner of my room. dancing.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you ever take psychedelics and then go to a haunted house?
No.
Okay. So there's still some like, but to your point, that would be kind of like you're putting yourself into this environment that would elicit some type of reaction, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let me ask you something that I think you might have a better answer to than someone that actually believes in ghosts. Even if you agree wholeheartedly with our new friend Tyler's skeptical, science-based perspective, our next guest of the day might make you completely reconsider how personal perspective can blur the lines between reality and fiction. What's your name?
Kahlil.
Kahlil?
Yes.
So first of all, what are you doing out here on the Beltline?
Getting some exercise.
Cool.
I live down the street or
Perfect.
like 15, 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
I like to come here, network, exercise, just get social.
Yeah.
Because,
It's a good place.
everyday life, you're just working and then going back home. So this
Yeah.
is something
Yeah.
to spice it up.
Yeah, and as much as people want to say that they love their coworkers, we all need a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need something else sometimes.
Yeah.
So just to kind of kick it off, like, very basic question, but do you believe in ghosts?
I think I'll have to say yes because I believe like energy is never destroyed.
Okay.
I think that's like a scientific law.
Yeah.
I've heard it from like multiple sources.
So you think ghosts are like manifestations of energy?
I think it's like the soul. And I feel like if you don't have if you have unfinished business, then you're stuck here.
Right.
Or if you're so attached, you can't let go. So either one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you personally ever had any unexplainable experiences?
No.
None?
No.
None?
I used to, before medicine, I used to hear voices.
Okay, yeah.
And I swore to myself, oh, I can like, this is spiritual. I can read your mind. And,
Right.
And maybe this is like my guardian angel. And then it just started to like become fuzzy and not making sense.
Sure.
And so I went to a doctor and like, oh, you have paranoid schizophrenia.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so then it kind of blurs the lines a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is interesting. So, like, those manifestations that you heard, not to get too deep, full context, my mom's a therapist, so
Okay.
it kind of rubs off. So if you get some PTSD from me, just, like, tell me to shut up. But when you did hear that stuff, did it feel spiritual?
Yeah, it's like not my voice, it's someone else's voice. So I'll
Okay.
be talking to someone, I'm like, am I hearing their thoughts?
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean? And it'll just,
Interesting.
I can't give you a specific phrase that they'll say, but it'll be pertaining to that situation. Like, I'm going to pick up this cup or I'm thinking this, and I don't know, it was freaky at the time.
Yeah, that is freaky.
Yeah.
This is one of the first people we had on today kind of argued this, that like ghosts are just people's personal projections. But do you feel like there's like a spirit world, spirituality? Do you feel like connected to that at all?
I don't feel connected, but I kind of believe in it because it's just backed on the energy thing. Like, I don't know. I think it's like my hopeful wishing, like after I die, I hope my energy continues on, you know?
Yeah.
So I just kind of keep hope, like, oh, maybe, hopefully there is a spiritual, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm not religious.
Sure.
I'm more like, spiritual.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. And ghosts kind of blur the lines a little bit. Because
Yeah.
it's like not a specific religion, you know? But
Right.
it kind of answers that question that I think a lot of people wonder is like, what happens
Yeah.
after? All right. Well, let me ask you a few more questions. First off is like, in your opinion, why do you think people are just so fascinated with ghosts in general?
Because it's almost like an escape for reality. It's like something fun, interesting, suspenseful. It's like watching a crime documentary, you know?
Yeah. Do you watch any of the ghost shows?
I used to watch Paranormal Activity on AMC.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And like they had all the little meters and stuff, and they're like, oh, we see something,
Yeah.
and we hear something.
all the tools and stuff.
Yeah.
I actually have a few of those because I dressed up as a ghost hunter one Halloween, and I bought a bunch of the equipment,
Yeah,
which is fairly inexpensive.
you went all in.
Yeah. And I thought about bringing it, but then I was like, I don't want to. If ghosts are real, I don't want to piss them off,
Right,
by
right.
calling them out here.
Right, yeah.
But to that point, speaking of kind of equipment stuff, do you think? Speaking of pissing off the spirits, I'm realizing right now as your host that I never did a good job defining what I think a ghost actually is. Also, as your host, I think our next guest, who you might remember all the way back from episode 6, is going to do a way better job defining the term ghost than I ever could. Well, let's just cut through all of the small talk because we talked a little bit off camera.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about just jumping right into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, do you believe in ghosts?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, 100%, like you're all in.
100%.
Well, tell me why.
So you ever get that feeling where you think something's crawling on you, but there's nothing there?
I get the feeling that my phone is vibrating in my pocket, and then I check it. And
But it might be, you might think it's like a leg hair just stands
Sure,
up and
yeah,
you
yeah,
like
yeah.
just swipe at it. That is a ghost touching you.
You think so?
That's my theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that alone, that's like your, and I'm not saying that in a like, psh, 'cause
Yeah.
I'm keeping an objective view here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe or not. That's kind of why I'm hoping to come out of this episode with an answer. But
For sure.
so you believe that spirits are like constantly around and engaging?
I think so, yeah. I think sometimes too, especially when you get certain signs in the world. I know it's like the universe, but
Sure.
it could be something else, right? That's
Yeah.
like while we're sitting here right now, like I think there's people watching that we can't see.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I always do get the sense that someone's watching me. But we are on the Beltline, to be fair.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let me ask you this before I jump into some follow-ups. Like, what do you think like a ghost is? Like, obviously a ghost can mean a lot of different things to a lot
Yeah.
of different cultures and people, but like, how would you define a ghost?
I think a lot of people, the misconception I think around ghosts first is I think people think it's like a negative connotation. Like a ghost has to be something like evil or bad. I just think a ghost is like a spirit that's just left its physical presence, but it just continues to roam throughout the world.
Okay. So basically like the spirit of a person absent of a body?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're on the same page. Do you think that there could be like a scientific explanation to all of it? Or
100%.
what do you think that might be?
It's like that it's like that movie Insidious, where like they got all those materials to like capture it.
Yeah.
Like I think like there's probably a way, but maybe we're like too far. We may not be there yet
Okay.
to like figure that out.
Well, let me ask you this. Like, why do you think people in general, such as yourself, but just in general, like, what do you think people are so fascinated with ghosts? Like, or why do you think they're so fascinated with
I
ghosts?
think it's because it's the unknown. Like we don't know, we've never seen it, and we can't. There's no physical appearance, so we're gonna be constantly curious. It's like same thing with the ocean. No one knows what's at the bottom of the ocean, right? But it's so intriguing because we don't know. So
what
I think
scares
that's what
you
makes it-
more, the ocean or ghosts?
Oh, the ocean for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
The ocean is the most terrifying
Yeah,
thing. in
I'm
the
okay with
world.
not knowing.
Yeah. Whew. All right, final question with this, and then I have. If the spirit world is deep and unexplored, just like the ocean, then I suggest you put on some metaphorical scuba gear. Because the next few interviews you're about to hear aren't just simple spooky ghost stories. They also reveal just how much our own personal experiences may factor into unexplained supernatural encounters. First of all, thank you for sitting down with me. What are y'all's names?
Jay.
Jay?
No cap J though, my rapper name.
Jado?
No cap J. That's my rapper name.
Okay.
I go by J3.
J3?
Yeah.
So J and J3.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then what was your rapper name?
No cap J.
No cap J. All right, so whoever wants to chime in first.
Okay.
Okay.
But do y'all believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, who wants to go first?
I mean, I go first.
Yeah. So tell me why.
Because I ain't gonna lie. One night, it was me and my mom. We was inside the house, and everybody had left. Went out to the club with it. It was just me and her, and We turned the radio off. The radio turned back on.
Oh my God.
And then when we were finna go into the room, somebody knocked the cereal box down our refrigerator. But when nobody else there but me and her.
Really? How long ago was that?
This was a couple years ago. They were like when
Okay.
I was younger. But
Yeah.
I seen it when I woke
Yeah.
up. When I woke up, I seen it standing over my mama.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like it was my granddad though.
Really?
Yeah, he was just sitting there smelling.
So is it the same house that like he lived in and stuff?
Huh.
Okay, but he was there.
Yep, he was most definitely there.
Oh my God. So did she see it?
Nah. So when I had started screaming, she woke up like, "What you screaming for?" Like I just seen like you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I'm young, so it scared me. It
Yeah,
scared
yeah. And she was probably like, nothing's going on. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine.
me.
Yeah. Okay. What about you?
Okay, my first time is I was home alone, right? My family out. I think they went to the mall, right? And I didn't want to go. So I'm laying down. I'm watching YouTube. I forgot what I was watching. I watched YouTube. I get dozing off, right? I hear the front door open. I'm thinking it's my mama, you know what I'm saying? I think it's my mama. So I went back to sleep, right? Mind you, the room is it's like 70, 80.
Yeah.
It's hot. So I started feeling cold out of nowhere. Like I'm talking about feet cold, arms cold, hands literally cold. I tell my body it's cold.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out why it's cold. So it's dark. I get to seeing things. I don't know if it's just my mind playing me
Sure.
or I get to see things. So I'm seeing something over there by my mom's bed. So I'm in her room. I get to see something. I looked at it. It kind of like moved away a little bit, to the side.
What did it look like?
I don't know. It was like a figure, but not really a figure.
Okay.
So it was like, at first it was a person. I get to walking over there, and I realized nobody there. I thought to myself, was I tripping? Then the night I had a dream about my sister, and I felt like it was actually my sister there watching me, and that's why I feel like ghosts is real, cause like sometimes I have dreams about it, and I can feel the presence of my sister being there with me,
Yeah.
cause my sister did pass away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel her watching me over as I grow up.
I would say they look like they blue, and
Blue?
they look like actual people.
Okay.
You know what I'm
You've
saying?
seen like a blue kind of like outline of a person?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you both this, and both of y'all can chime in. But
Yeah.
like, what do you think it actually like a ghost actually is? I mean, you said blue.
Yeah.
I know you said that like you feel connected to your sister, but like, kind of define what you think a ghost is, because it means many different things to many different people.
Me?
You know?
I think a ghost is like they didn't get to live their expectations, so they still roam around to see around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like their life was cut short or something.
Yeah, they like cut
Yeah.
short. So they don't
Okay.
want to go yet. They want to stay a little longer. So
Right.
they stay around longer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
I most definitely agree with that. I feel like they didn't really get to experience their whole life. You know, some people took their life. You know, some people committed suicide.
Some
You know,
people
it just
Yeah.
all depends.
Yeah.
But life is hard, so yeah. They just didn't live their life. That's all it was.
Okay.
They not happy with themselves. They're not in peace yet.
Mm.
Cause a lot of people they probably stay because they're not in peace.
Yeah.
And they wait until they get their peace so they can leave fully.
One other thing too is like, do you think, obviously there's a spiritual aspect to this, right? But do you think that there ever could be like a scientific explanation?
They probably can find a way, but I'm not soon yet. I don't think no time soon about.
I don't think they can find no scientific. Like that's just something that you can't really answer it like with your head.
Like the
because-
Ghostbusters would never be real. Yeah.
Like you'll really have to actually think like
Yeah.
very hard to actually try to find out what's going
you
on,
probably
and
still won't find
you're
it.
gonna drive yourself crazy and stress yourself out by doing it. So it's just best not to even worry about it, you know. So it's just like
And some evil.
I just
Yeah.
don't mess with them at all.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
I
So
let
you
it
would
be.
never go until like at a haunted or abandoned
I
building
would.
looking
I
for
would.
it?
I mean,
I
we
won't go by
done
myself.
we done it before, but we ran through it like we were just having fun, like
Yeah.
just you know as kids. So we
Yeah.
just ran through the house. You know, it may
But
be
you wouldn't
goes in
pull
there,
out like
but-
a Ouija board.
no.
It depends. If I'm with a big group of people, I would. But
No.
if it's just like me and a couple friends, I want to do it because I know. Me, I'm just paranoid. I be paranoid just because something might happen. We never know.
Actually, I know a girl who actually did it and she regretted it.
Oh, tell me about
Like
it.
she told me like when she did it, her body it just felt like she just gave up and it was like hard to fight. She had to go to the hospital and stuff like that. Like she was acting up. Like she was
Wow,
acting
really?
So she was like possessed.
Like she was basically asking the spirit like crazy questions like, oh well, like, are you here? And like, oh well, if you here, then let me see you. You lying, you not here, and stuff, basically like stuff like that, like just irritating. You know what I'm saying?
So you don't want to make a spirit mad.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
They more so than
you
us.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. And I hope I don't make any spirits mad with this episode.
Me neither.
All right, well, let me ask you all a few more questions and then we'll wrap it up. But first of all, like, I was talking about scientifically proving it, but like, let's say that interview with Jay and J3 made me wonder something I'd never really considered before. If we can't even begin to scientifically explain what ghosts are, then why as a culture are we so obsessed with them? Our next guest gives a pretty good answer to that seemingly rhetorical question. So I'm just going to ask you a question, open-ended. Okay. Take it any direction you want, but do you believe in ghosts?
I do.
Okay, so just to start off, like, why do you believe in ghosts?
It's more on a positive but kind of negative vibe.
No, it can be both.
But so I took care of both my grandparents. Well, my grandpa passed away before my grandma. We had this balloon. It was made of helium. Helium only has so much air. Right? So, but he had passed away 2 months prior. And, baby monitor can kind of pick up certain things.
Yeah.
Well, I was taking care of my grandma at the time, and we were picking up frequencies of, like, this man saying something. But it was very, like, in between. And I think he was just staying there till she had passed.
Yeah.
And it freaked me out. I was like, either he's still here or...
Was it in the same house that he...
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
So it was like, I don't know.
You would hear little things like in the baby monitor?
Yeah. And I was like, there's nobody in here.
Yeah.
It's like a completely black room. My grandma sitting there. And I would go in. I was thinking it was my uncle who was helping me at the time. There's nobody in there. As soon as she passed, that balloon dwindled.
Wow.
It's crazy. And then my cousin, who flew in from Indiana to help, heard the same thing like 2 nights after me. And that was before she had passed. So I was like, it was a very intense, surreal experience. I was like freaking out. And she even told my aunt and was like, I heard the same thing she did. Like, she's not like listening to anything it's like, I don't know if it's energy or if it's just what was meant to be. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's
but
actually...
I do. Like, energy is so important. And I don't know if that was that or, like, we had a baby. Like, we don't even have baby monitors. Like, we could just hear.
Yeah.
But we did just because we were around the clock. But I wouldn't think you would hear certain things if it was not of such.
Yeah, I agree. You perfectly segued into a question that I had, which was like, what do you think ghosts are?
Energy, like people who haven't either passed over, they're waiting for something, they haven't fulfilled their whatever time on Earth. Okay. I don't know if that, like...
Do you think it's people?
As a soul.
Okay. That makes sense.
Lost and maybe like haven't fulfilled what you wanted to do for that person or that animal or whatever. I also find that the Day of the Dead is for the morning. I find so it's not that you're gone, you're still there, you feel a presence, right? But you're not there. If that makes sense. Yeah. And so I find even though you're gone, you're not gone. Mm-hmm. I believe in like ghosts, and I don't necessarily like to say ghosts, but it's energy. Yeah. And
ghosts kind of have that negative connotation of like this,
and it can.
Ooh,
and it can.
Yeah, it can.
But that's based off of someone not fulfilling what they needed to do, where they can pass over into a better or wherever they need to go.
Yeah, like unfulfilled things. Okay, that makes sense. Do you think, speaking of having spiritual experiences with deceased family members, our final guest of the day has a story and frankly general perspective on ghosts that I truly have never ever considered. It's a reoccurring experience that he's been having for the past year that I would describe as a combination of endearing, sad, inspirational, and as he will explain much further in his own words, a bit confusing to say the least. What's your name? Let's start there.
Alonza
Alonza?
Pierre Maynard Jr.
Wow, Alonza Pierre
name.
Maynard
Yeah.
Jr.
Yes.
Do you prefer the full one or just Alonza?
Actually, at work, I go by Alonza Pierre.
Okay, I like that.
I put them together.
Yeah.
Because it may be unique. And I came back to this company for the second time.
Okay.
And I want to reinvent myself. So
Sure.
yeah.
I like it. You know, I used to go by KJ when I was growing up. And then my real name is Kelley, or my first name. And I like reinvented myself. But I don't know if you have this issue where it's like a lot of people that know me from growing up call me one name. And then like people that know me as an adult call me another.
That's my family. They call me Jay.
Okay. Yeah.
If you really, really know me, if you have grown up with me, you didn't call me Jay.
Okay.
And a lot of people like, Alonza Maynard out of Jay, how did that work? I'm a junior. That's why it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. So since you kind of been waiting, you kind of heard what the topic's about. How do you feel about just jumping right into it?
Sure.
Okay. So there do you,
Go ahead.
okay. I was about to say I can do more icebreakers. I've got a lot.
Listen, I don't need no icebreakers.
Okay.
I am the icebreaker at my job.
Yeah, no, honestly, same.
I am that one. So, ghost. Yes, I do believe in ghosts.
You do?
Yes. I think ghosts represent a lot of times for a lot of people unresolved issues.
For the
That's
people or for the ghosts themselves?
No, for the people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Like say for instance, if you had a grandmother that died and you didn't get to know her, she might show up
Yeah. Yeah.
in many forms,
Wow.
and you might can't connect the dots. But for me, that probably has a lot to do with that.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your
no.
father, even your father, like my father, I didn't know him for 25 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just got to know him, and he died last year, April 8th. And he hunts me a lot.
You think?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
he does.
I'm going to ask you about that in a second, but I was going to say a lot of people that we've talked to that are skeptics, okay,
Yeah.
which has only been a few, but they say that they would argue that ghosts are psychological projections that people have and not spirits. Like, what would you say to that?
I don't agree with or disagree with that as well. It's just that, again, I hearken on the unresolved issue.
Yeah. You think a lot
If you
ghosts
if you think about something, sometimes if you just think about it, like this is the basic way I can think of this, right? About ghosts.
Yeah.
If you think about something so much, it actually can come to fruition, right?
Yeah.
You can make it happen if you think about it. So for me, it's like I long for my father to be in my life so much. You know, even though he's not here anymore, he shows up in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because I wanted that. I wanted to see what that was like.
Yeah.
And sometimes the dreams that I have, which are like, to me, ghost dreams,
Yeah.
is about how he took care of me, but he didn't take care of me. So that's in my mind.
Got you. Well, let me ask about it since you brought it up. And also, just to preface this, my mom is a therapist, so I'm sorry if this comes off as a therapy session. But I was going to say, like, in this situation with your dad, you said he passed a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
One, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
But two, like, how is his spirit kind of manifested itself in your life?
So for me, him passing on, now that he's passed on, I reflect a lot on him. And I know what he did before he passed.
Yeah.
Before, and I'm getting deep.
Sure.
The drugs and the alcohol and all that kind of the PST, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He coached me now the way that he should have coached me as a father. And that's kind of weird to say that out loud, but I know he does that.
Yeah.
I know he does.
Do you think that's him, like, trying to make up for?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Could you give an example of maybe, if you can, on
Him
like,
coaching me?
Yeah.
I could say, I'm gonna call out. I got the time. You know, he would be saying, no, son, you've been there, done that before. Go to work, do what you got to do.
Sure.
You can meet with them another time. Y'all can plan it out.
Yeah.
That's how I know that's him.
Okay. So in your experience, kind of these spiritual encounters, you feel like it's kind of like, almost in some ways, like a guardian angel / kind of like.
Oh, I know it's a guardian angel. Ain't no slashes.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to like be like, what's the
yeah.
equivalent? But yeah, no, guardian angel, I guess. Not to get off of the topic of that, but like just in general, why do you think people are fascinated or scared of ghosts? Like in your case, it's, you have a personal
It's
thing.
very simple for me.
Yeah.
All right. If I'm scared of a ghost, it's just because somebody told me to be scared of a ghost.
Sure. Yeah.
If you really sit back and you unearth what a ghost looked like and what it means to you, then you can create your own interpretation.
Yeah.
Most people are not allowed to create their own interpretation. They go based off of what you tell us and the society tell us.
Yeah, which is scary.
Yeah, snakes. We had a situation today about snakes.
Yeah. The guy walking around with the snakes?
Not even the guy walking around with snakes. We was at his friend's house, his friend's house, and she had a snake. And if you see a snake, it's like, watch out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
a person put it to me this way. You shouldn't be scared of anything that's around that's particular about a human, because they're a product of their environment.
Right.
So if you tell a dog to bite or attack, then that's what they're going to do.
They're going to bite.
So
and
if you
attack,
nurture a reptile or a dog or whatever the case may be, they're going to be gentle to you. They really will. But if you train it, you tell it, hey, attack, do this, attack, they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to undo what society has taught you.
So you think a lot of the ghost-like lore has been more of the negative, and that, in your opinion, you would say ghosts sometimes are more of like a personal spiritual connection that people have with like ancestors or whatever.
It is. And the guy that was standing right here, he walked off. He was supposed to sit right here, but he's like, it's taking too long. I'm not going to talk about it. But I was just asking him about he was asking me what the question was or the topic was, and I said, do you believe in ghosts? And he's like, yeah, I do believe in it. And he starts talking about all this negative stuff. And I asked him from what experience. He couldn't answer the question. You have no experience with ghosts in a negative impact. That's just like I'm meeting you for the first time.
Yeah.
I don't know you.
Right.
But if everybody tell me, oh, he's a blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. You have to sit and I have to meet you for myself in order to bring up that. You know what I'm saying? In order to get my own experience.
Yeah. So what you're saying is there should be a ghost podcast hosted by a ghost.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. The world would be a better place if more people hosted podcasts. I'm not even saying that as a smart ass. So let me ask you this. Like, I kind of asked your friend this, but... And that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Normal Person Podcast, where we've just barely dipped our toes into the vast ocean-like world of ghosts. From the scientific skeptic all the way to spiritual encounters, all the way to seeing spirits of deceased family members, it's safe to say that the world of ghosts is both fascinating and extremely personal. I can't wait to dive back into this topic a year from now. If you enjoyed this week's episode, please consider leaving us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode, please consider leaving us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us on social media too while you're at it, at Normal Person Pod on Instagram or TikTok. We share fun video clips, upcoming episode teasers, and more. Until next Halloween, be sure to get your tarot cards read, keep your candy bowls full, and don't ever play with the Ouija board unless you actually mean it. I'm your host, Kelley Boston. We'll see you next week.